Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me. Let me pull up a different screen here. And if you're new, I'm a one-man band, so sometimes it takes me a minute to get this thing spooled up here. So give me just a second here, because right when I hit the button, it wants me to connect to Facebook again. So give me just a second. Hopefully everybody's doing good. And everybody wants to message me right when I go live. Okay, let's get to the chat part. And if you can hear me, give me a 5x5 if you can hear me well. There you go. Okay, if you're in here, this just came up because for some reason I had to reconnect, and so it created a brand new one. Hey, Thumper, you can hear me 5x5? Thank you, sir. All right, so it's going to take a minute for a few people to get in here, so I'm going to let this roll for just a second while I get this other microphone set up. And let's see here. Thumper, you can hear me fine, is that right? I'll test this other camera. Let's see if I get a view here. So while everything's coming in, hey Bear, how you doing, girl? Okay, good, you can hear me, good. All right, so I'm gonna pull up some screens here in the background. I'm gonna test the camera just for a second. And there I am. Hey, everybody can see me. I like to keep it dark in here like I'm running an air traffic control center, so that's why it's this way. And I'll put the camera back on here in a minute. I'm gonna let a few more people come in. So you guys say hey to each other. Mixed in this crowd is going to be some Las Vegas people that know me from that investigation. And also, since I'm new to you, to the Tiger King investigation, I'm not new to a lot of the people that are like really deep into it, but for the most part, a lot of you don't know me, so I'll probably have to introduce myself at some point. But tonight we're going to get into some relatively new old evidence. Hey, Edward. Hey, Saint. So we are going to cover some ground that has not been covered before. You're going to learn some things that have never been released before or weren't even known. So that's the reason for this show, is to bring that to the forefront. I believe that any investigation should have all the information put forth as best as possible with and there's no source that is a bad source. Any source of information is a source of information. Of course you'll run into some things that don't fit that category, but for the most part, all information is good. You got to weed through a whole bunch to get down to the stuff that actually means something, and then deal with the situations where when you get information from a certain source, they feel it's the Holy Grail and so forth. But you have to be respectful and what have you, and I will try to do that. All I do ask is that if there appears to be any trolling going on, which I see all the time, but for the most part, I don't mind people saying what's on your mind. When it gets to the point where it's just absolutely counterproductive, if you want to say, whoever did it and blah, 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 if you're just here to just say that, then you're really not going to be adding much to the conversation. But here's what I'm going to do. After I get done showing you what I'm about to show you, you can ask basically any question you want. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. I don't know all the answers. I probably don't know most of the answers. One thing we don't know is literally who, whatever happened to Don Lewis. We don't know the specific individual or individuals that did it. I'm sure we can all guess at what we believe, and we can have some really good arguments to support it to some degree. But for the most part, you have to ask yourself the classic question. No one's been arrested yet, and there's a reason for that. The reason for it is there's not really enough evidence to support any specific person to be arrested. Now, I'm sure that will create quite a bit of argument here and there, but for the most part, it's factually true. And down the road, maybe that'll change. But for right now, it's not. Otherwise, you would have seen some movement. Some new evidence has been given to the investigation. Hey, Sale. Has been given to the detective who's handling the investigation, and they are going to take that information and possibly utilize it to either affect an arrest down the road and or utilize that information to lead them to the path of the person who's responsible for Don's disappearance. The whole reason why I'm doing this show tonight is basically because I myself would like to know what happened to Don. I think I'm getting very close. I think everyone thinks everyone's getting pretty close, but you're probably sitting back and wondering why something is not actually happening. And there's a certain series of steps that you have to go through to get something like this to court. So I'm gonna tell you what I believe is going to happen over the next few months to 6 months to a year, based on the information I have right now. Most likely, at some point, they're going to try to put together some form of indictment that will go against certain parties. Who those parties are, we don't really know. Now, you can argue it could be everyone's favorite person to bash, but you might be surprised. You might actually be surprised in the end, because every case I've done where I thought it was one person, everybody's watched the whodunit shows and so forth, and you think it's this person, and it ends up being someone totally different, and you just sit there and go, oh my God, or you just don't believe the result, and then you yell at the TV and what have you. But for the most part, anyone that's going to be convicted or charged with any charges, there's got to be a lot of actual solid evidence to do that. And after 23 or going on 24 years now, that's going to be extremely difficult to find. I can tell you from personal experience of being here for many months and doing this investigation, going in the lake myself and going into different properties and going around looking at evidence and looking at the places. I've been to absolutely every single place that you guys have probably heard of. And it is not going to be easy for anyone that tries to wrap this up. So at this point, a lot of the evidence that's out there is going to be circumstantial, and or if they do find something tangible, it's still going to be considered either hearsay or circumstantial, because you're not going to have, the actual, smoking gun, so to speak. Hey, Starless. So here's where we are at the moment. A few months ago, everyone if you know the characters in the show Tiger King, if you haven't seen Tiger King, then you need to. If you haven't seen Tiger King, there's something wrong, because everybody I think on the planet has seen the show. I actually didn't see it until August, last August or late July. So I'm late to the game. So there's a lot of catching up to do, so to speak. And the way I ended up involved in this is rather bizarre too, but I won't get into that right now. But what has happened since or before I got on board, there's several places that are on the internet. There's Web Sleuth, where you have Trisha runs that site. You got Ripper that runs the Facebook group. You've got several other places that have hodgepodges here and there of different ways of investigating this, and you find treasure troves of what they've done. And unfortunately, one of the groups, for some reason, I can't go into, and I never really figured out why. But anyway, but that information is there, and a lot of people, what happens is when you're watching a television program, or you have some experience being an officer or investigator, or just being a person who's just very inquisitive, you probably have gotten the itch of doing the whodunit. So in doing that, a lot of us have become armchair detectives, myself included. I have a little bit different background. I'm not from a law enforcement background. I'm from an intelligence background. So that gives me a little bit different perspective on this. How you doing there, Mission? That gives me a little bit different perspective. It did so for myself when I was doing the Las Vegas investigation, and I'm actually trying to utilize a lot of those things here. So many of you, if you haven't been up on the investigation and what's been going on, some of this is going to be kind of confusing. So I'm going to try to nutshell it as best I can. Don disappeared back in 1997. What exact day he specifically did is still unknown as far as the actual date, but the narrative, the way it seems to be going, is sometime around August 17th, August 18th. That weekend, Don Lewis, who is the husband of Carol Baskin, who at the time was Carol Lewis. So what happened then, and I'm not going to get into great detail because I'm going to move forward assuming that most of you know what I'm talking about, is a mystery. No one really knows. There's been several theories that have been bounced around, and I'm sure you've heard of some. You've heard septic tank theory. You've heard basically just every possible thing you can think of ways that someone could disappear. Being tossed out of an airplane. He flew, experimental ultralights. He may have crashed. He may have just, supposedly there's question as to whether or not he has dementia and/or Alzheimer's. Maybe he wandered off. I personally don't believe that one too much, but it, it is possible. Who knows? Or he just went to Costa Rica or what have you. So what I'm going to tell you tonight is that one thing that's been bothering me since I listened to a certain piece of evidence. Everyone knows if you know the players, Ken Farr or Kenny Farr. Kenny was the right-hand man to Don Lewis, and in such, his wife at the time, she was there, and she gave testimony that I'm not going to play here because I don't want to play over someone else's channel, but I'll try to get permission to do that down the road if I can. But anyway, she, in fact, I can probably let me change the screen here. And they won't let me do it. She made testimony that her husband at the time, on a Sunday, who was very rare that he would actually be off on a Sunday, but was home. And about 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon, or whatever time it was sometime in the afternoon, that a friend of theirs or someone that they knew or someone that she knew by the name of Mexican Mike came over to the house where they stayed, and Mexican Mike and Kenny left, and Kenny came back late that evening. So in that time where he left and came back is the time that a lot of people are surmising that Don disappeared. Although there's other people that have eyewitness testimony that they saw Don. So the best guess scenario from what I can gather is you have a manager at the park, or a person who could have been a manager. His name's Jim. He last saw Don sometime around early evening. And then at that moment, a person had brought over a motorcycle. The transaction was made with a motorcycle, and the motorcycle was put back. And that was the last time that anyone that I can say, without bringing in questionable characters, as you guys would like to call these people, anyone else becomes a problem. So if you assume from that moment that Jim was maybe the last person to see Don alive, which is what some people believe, then that would be Sunday early evening. And then later that evening, according to Trish Farr, the former wife of Kenny Farr, that Kenny came home with Don's blue van. He had left with his own truck, I believe, with the flatbed truck, but came back with Don's blue van. And as such, it was filled with weapons, guns, or what have you. And he told Trish to, let me unload this, or you're going to put it in the house. And they put it under the bed. They put it in the bathroom. They put it all over the house, or all over in a more secured area, I guess, towards the bedroom. And that was a big event because at the time, apparently, according to Trish, Kenny made some statements that that Don disappeared, and that the weapons, he's going to keep them for Don or what have you, or whatever the actual words were. We don't know. I'm going to turn the camera on here, so just so you guys can see what I'm saying. So, and I'll try to play some stuff in the background. Now, to avoid copyright issues, I may play some video in the background here so you guys will see it on the screen. but I uploaded a video earlier today, and when I did, it instantly banged me for a copyright. So I'm going to I'll turn the camera on and off periodically, and I'll play the video in the background here just so you can actually see it, some of the stuff I'm talking about. But anyway, again, this is just going to be relatively short, just so I can get to the point here, because a lot of people that are familiar with this stuff want me to get to the point right now, I'm sure. The issue at hand was whether or not Mexican Mike existed. And a lot of questions were brought up. Some people claim the story has changed or what have you, and we'll see what comes out of that. But assuming that this person existed, it was important because it was the only person that has not been approached out of this whole scenario. It was new. The person apparently was with Kenny. And in my research, or a lot of, if anyone else out there tried to research Mexican Mike, and his name, according to Trish, is Mike Garcia. And if you tried to research a Mike Garcia, you can imagine how many live in this area. It was a plethora of them. So trying to narrow down the Mike Garcia that would fit the profile of an individual that would probably meet the criteria of someone that would do such a thing with Kenny or what have you, because Kenny didn't really have a violent background previous to that day. That's a scenario that we're trying to, basically look at. So in doing so, I narrowed it down to about 5 or 6 Mike Garcias, and one kept sticking out. And the more he stuck out, the more I started putting a lot more emphasis on him. Now, some people have said that they researched this guy and he was in jail at the time, or they researched him and they couldn't find any traces of him after a certain time frame. There's all kinds of weird things going on with this guy. And just in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly why you had an issue finding this guy. But anyway, so I'm going to try to pull up some images of him here in a second. I'm going to turn this camera off in a second because I don't want anything to pop up on the screen while that's the case. So give me just a second. But what I'm going to show you is I'll show you essentially his record as you would see it if you pulled it up online. So I'm going to try to share that screen and we'll see how that comes out. Let me pull into the screen over here. And in a few minutes after I get done with the crux of what we're talking about here, I have no problem with you guys asking questions, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Let's see here. I thought I had all this queued up, but apparently not. Sorry about that. This is always great when you're a one-man band and you don't have a producer behind you actually pushing the buttons for you. FLDOC. And here we go. So they pulled, that's interesting. Oh, that's a different thing. So when it basically went to look for the actual police records on this guy, I was kind of floored, because if you go to Hillsborough County Records, which is a place I used to actually live, I used to live here in Tampa actually, what you will find is not much at all. So that probably stopped people from looking. And again, I'll tell you why in just a moment as to what the issue was. So bear with me here as I get this up here. Right birth date. Again, it won't let me type it in. Oh, I know what it is. But this case has so much, just, I mean, every twist and turn you can imagine. If you watch the series, you already know what I'm talking about as far as that's concerned. Imagine trying to investigate something from 23 years ago involving, this subject matter and some of the characters that we're dealing with. It gets rather interesting. And it gets rather difficult too, which is why a lot of people just basically gave up at a certain point. There's just too much going on. So Let's see here. Why is it doing that? Pull this back again. It's trying to make me search by business name for some reason. Anyway, the person's name that I'm going after here, and also you're going to find out that this person was a subject of 2 television shows. Now, oddly enough, while this person was incarcerated, he actually was on a TV show. So I'm going to roll that in the background here. And if anyone recognizes, if you're from this area, if you recognize him or what have you, let me know, especially if you know if he's the person that Trish is mentioning. I did reach out to Trish, by the way, and she, I guess, is having issues with her phone. So hopefully she will be able to get back with me, and I can try to help her as well, because I'm sure she's kind of curious as to who this guy is. And I know she went down the same path I did, because one of the searches I did, I actually saw her name. So that was quite interesting. So let me share this one screen here, and I'm going to show you what comes up, and I won't need the audio from it. So this is what comes up when you pull up this person. You'll see here, this is under Hillsborough County, Michael A. Garcia. The A is for Albert or Alberto. And if you go down this list, which I'm on the wrong screen, you'll notice that every single case is civil traffic, civil traffic, civil traffic, civil traffic, and all of them are closed, all of these cases. So that pretty much stopped anyone searching at that point. And that part I fully understand. So I'm going to stop the feed here really quick, and then I'm going to pull up another screen here in a second. So if you're part of any of the research group who actually went in and tried to find this guy, and you met that, I fully understand why you probably stopped. Some of you that went further may have found some other things. Let me see here. FLDOC. And there we go. So Garcia, first name Michael. 916. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again and show you this screen. Okay, so here you see Michael A. Garcia. He's Hispanic. I don't know about you, but this particular person here doesn't look that Hispanic to me. He also looks kind of like a model. I mean, he doesn't really look like a street thug that has all of these crimes down here. So as you take a look at it, let me get this other thing off the screen so I can see the chat. And goodbye. So you have aggravated battery with intent to harm, burglary and extortion, grand theft, burglary, grand theft, so forth down the way. That's 1996, 1993, 1991. So his criminal history starts, back in 1991, but it kind of ends right around 96 for some reason. And then we go down here and you see his incarceration history. He's incarcerated from 9/25, 1997 to 5/7 of 2002. So yeah, if you Google match the pic, I already did that. It just it brings you right back to this image. So we didn't have a good image of who this was. So a lot of people assumed this was the person, because when you go to jail or prison, they take your picture, they put it up there, they embarrass the hell out of you, there you are. And that's what people see. The situation is this is not Michael Garcia. And what I'll do is, without sound, I'll run a video in the background. I'm going to stop this streaming for just a quick second. So pardon me for having to bounce back and forth, but I wanted to get this up here for you today. And I promise you that some of this will be really interesting. So let's see here. Pull this on this screen. Shrink you. So we're going to go through basically the history of this Garcia. So let me share again. Here we go. And can everybody hear me okay? Is audio fine? So here's Michael Albert Garcia, his arrest on 6/21 of 1991. So that's what he looked like at that time frame. And we go forward. This is what he looked like on 10/27/91. And thank you, CL. And 1/20 of 93. I don't know how clear that is for you guys. Hopefully it's clear. 3/3/93. He's got a little smirk there. I guess he was a little happy that day. And we'll go forward a little bit to 3/19/1993. Now, just so you know, these images are not available. These were a very special person who is dear to my heart right now helped me with this, and we worked together on quite a few things, and this particular case is pretty interesting. So she was able to help me with this, and this is where some of these images are bouncing from here. So she helped me out a lot. Won't name names. 7/21 of 93. Then we bounce forward. We got 11/2 of 96. Then we have 11/19 of 96. And he's starting to almost look like the other guy there for a second. But 3/13 of 97. And then we bounce to 3/2 of 2004. So there's a pretty big gap there of several years where he didn't seem to get in trouble. Interesting. But what makes it even more interesting is you'll see that he is arrested on this date, but apparently he was in a program that allowed him to not have to be in jail, and he was not put back in jail until 9/25, which, as everyone knows, is several days after Don disappeared. So there was a lot of questions as to what dates he was actually incarcerated, as to whether or not this person could have done something. So I will double, triple, quadruple verify. But according to what I can see, is he was a possible person to do this. Whether or not, I don't know. If he's watching this right now, he's probably very pissed off, but he's probably not, because currently he should be in jail, and I'll tell you why. But this is his picture on 3/2 of 2004, and hopefully certain individuals watching this and is seeing all these images and can hopefully contact me and let me know if this looks more like the person. And this is on 4/28 of 2009. And that's, I think, the last one I have of him, which is 8/12/2011. I actually have some past this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video of this guy too, because this guy was in Hillsborough County Jail. While he was in the Hillsborough County Jail, this individual was approached by a TV crew from MSNBC, and they actually filmed him on a television show called Tampa Lockdown, or Lockdown, and it was in Tampa. So I'm going to show you that in the background. I don't want to play the audio to it. I will, if I do, I'll have to talk over it so I don't get dinged. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to bring that up. And that one. I may share the audio and just pull it down there. I'll pause it. And here we go. Okay, so this is the show. He was actually involved in a murder for hire scheme with a couple who went to a swingers club. The woman kind of liked another guy, but there wasn't a girl to switch off with, so to speak. And I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit risque here. But as such, the woman fell in love. Her name was Christy. She fell in love with the other guy, and then her husband, who worked far away. Hey, David. Her husband, who worked far away, would be off periodically, but basically gave him his blessing, so to speak. But then it got weird. So the woman fell in love with the guy. Long story short, as they fell more in love, they were looking for ways to get together. And at that time of them trying to get together, the plot was made to basically get rid of the husband. And they needed money because this, wonderful guy that she was trying to get with apparently didn't have a job or anything. So yeah, it's Sex Money. That's actually the name of the show, is Sex, Lies, and whatever. I'll put that up as well. So in doing so, there was $1 million insurance policy. For some reason, all these insurance policies need to be around $1 million. So there's $1 million insurance policy, and they decided to reach out to someone to take care of the problem. And in doing so, they reached out to, you guessed it, Mike Garcia. And whether or not this Mike Garcia is 100% in fact Mexican Mike is going to be a little bit hard to tell you, but I'll show you some stuff that, today and maybe very short future here that will give you a better idea as to whether or not he is or not. We're going to verify all this stuff because obviously we don't want to say someone is a bad person when they may not be. Hint, hint, if everybody can probably wait until you get some proof of that. And here I am doing it. But anyway, so in that murder plot, Mike Garcia went out and basically hired a hitman, which happened to be his cousin. His name is Lewis, and got him to work the deal for him. So he was the trigger man. They both came back to the house at some non-predetermined time because the woman at the time had no clue what day it was going to be. And as such, the hit was done, and the rest is history. The next day, and this is a case, I'm going to reveal these cases to you so you can go and take a look at, Sex, Lies, and Murder. Thanks, Edward. And you'll be able to see it. And I'm going to put links in the description to this video here. You can't see. It's not available easily to the public. You'd have to go do all kinds of crazy stuff to get this. So I'm going to let this play in the background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reshare it, and so you can hear some of this audio, and hopefully I won't get dinged for it. So give me just a second here. Share audio. And share. And hopefully I won't get dinged for it. So give me just a second here. Share audio. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Let me know. And if you can, not really. Okay, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Did you hear it at all? Double audio, then no. Okay, so I'm going to start it up again here. Okay, could you hear it then? Because if not, then I'll just let the video run because it's going to get me in trouble anyway. Not even me. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you can hear me now. I'll check my mic settings here, audio, because every time I try to bring in one of those extra videos, it gets to be a weird situation here. Very faint. Hear me fine. Okay. Yo testing. Okay, so my mic's working fine. Okay, so the audio is from that. So anyway, and I apologize. I'll get this together here because I haven't done a live in a little while, as you guys know, and this is a pseudo setup system I've got here right now because I'm not home. But anyway, so basically you're going to see in this video, and I'll try to fast forward to the next section. You'll see the tattoos because there was some question about what tattoos he had and things like that. So I'm just going to let this run in the background, and we're going to talk some more about it. There we go.
He was once
so that's Mike Garcia, possibly Mexican Mike. As you can see there, you can actually see his tattoos. And I will go back here because that was brought up as to whether or not he had certain tattoos because they're very pronounced. So, and this guy has a lot of tattoos. So, there you go. Hopefully that helps.
My side.
So if anyone recognizes these tattoos, this is from September of 2008, I believe, is when this was filmed. He was sentenced for the murder for hire scheme later. But here's what happened. When he was arrested and the shooter was arrested and the two, the boyfriend, girlfriend who actually later married, were arrested. So all four were arrested for the murder of the woman's previous husband. Well, during the arrest, this guy, Mike Garcia, basically turned into a snitch, a CI, or what have you. And in doing so, this particular video, Starless, you will not be able to actually go see. You can, but it would be a very hard way to do it. I had to piece this together from 60 different pieces, much like I did the Melissa Ramirez video. I actually had to piece this video together to even make this, because it's in the archives. You can find it in the archives. But I pieced it together, so I actually have the full length film together. So this is all one hour show or 47-minute show. But take a look. There's some individuals that are watching this right now. They're probably not going to be in the chat, but I do want to allow them to see. He was
once a leader of one of Florida's most notorious gangs.
And if this strikes any memories. Okay. So to the individual watching this, you see the tattoos on his eyes. I know I got my logo over it, but it says Guilty Dreams. Guilty Dreams. Now, what he says when the girl asks him, why do you have the tattoos Guilty Dreams on your eyes? And he says at that point, because he has a lot of things that he's done in his past that haunt him. A lot of things he's done in his past that haunt him. Like, I don't know, maybe, doing something to Don Lewis. Who knows? But I would really like to find out if this guy is directly connected. This information is going over to the detective. Some of this information, believe it or not, has been found before. So I can't take all the credit. But what I'm wanting to show to you is that when you piece all this together, there's another piece of information that people were not aware of because the different levels of access that I have. And I'm going to show you that as well. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to show that to you as well. But he's got Guilty Dreams on it. Now, I don't know when he got this tattoo or any of the other tattoos for that matter. So who knows what tattoos he had back in '97. But as you go and look at the other images, you'll see that he had some, but maybe not that many. So I'm going to shrink this down and see if the tattoo images are still up there. And we'll go to Michael Garcia images. And this is obviously the not him image. Pull this over here. Shrink that one. Close that one. So obviously this is not him, but let's see if the other images have any visible tats. So this one obviously does, but that's in 2009. Back in 2004, you can't really tell. Same thing here in 97, you can't really tell. It doesn't really seem to be, but they don't show his shoulders, which is kind of odd. So we're going to try to get those images. And in this one, this is probably a tell-all that you can't really see that at the top. So he probably didn't have that many tattoos back then, but he may have had some sort of tattoo. And apparently that is something that we need to know because it's going to be very important, more so than you guys realize right down the road. So that's him there. So let me stop that again for a second. There's a whole lot more to this, some of which I have to actually hold back. As you guys know, whenever you do an investigation, there's certain information that you can't necessarily divulge. But I did want this information to come out. And the reason, I'll let you know, the reason why, Jesus, motorcycle guy next door, the reason why his information stops at a certain date. Can anyone guess what would be a reason why someone's information while they're in jail would just stop? I'll let you guys take a stab at it. Why in the world would someone's police record, literally their rap sheet, just stop? I mean, why would that happen? So if you look here, if he was in jail in 2008, as you saw there, where's his record from 2008? Of course, he was in Hillsborough County, and this is prison. But there's really nothing past that. So he's got some Hillsborough County time, but when you go to Hillsborough County and you look at that, you come up with simply vehicle stuff, and that's it. So I'm going to pull up another file, and I'm going to stop the streaming for a second so I don't accidentally share something on the screen that's not supposed to be shared. So I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. And that one. All right, so now I'm going to share it again. Should I share this? I have to skip past some of this because it does show some personal information on there. So we're going to go down to some later dates. I'm just going to show you some of the crimes here. And some of this is redacted. All right, so here you go. I'll let you see this part. Okay, so this is cases that are specific to him. You can see where he's employed by, what have you, so it's no big deal. But you'll see some of the cases up here. Obviously, these are 2008 cases, 2006 cases, and 2011 cases. Now, this is from Hillsborough County. So this shows all of his stuff here. He's a 3 times violent offender. You know, he's in a gang, all of these different things. And let's see here. Let's see who got it first. I see Bear got the right answer. If somebody else got that as well, but yes, he is currently in the Witness Protection Program, which is called WITSEC. Just so you guys know, it's actually, a lot of people think the Witness Protection Program is done by the FBI. It's actually, it's a program of the U.S. Marshal Service, which is located right up the road, which I trained back in 1993 to 98, I think. Those guys would come down to my business in Jacksonville called World of Weapons, and I would spray them with pepper spray and stuff like that and teach them how to fight with knives. So that was a lot of fun. But yes, he is now a part of the Witness Protection Program. So, which brings up an interesting thing. Now, I can pull up the actual court thing, which showed me. We're going to go to page 39 here. This is the trial that he was in when he was with the other 3 people. And he was actually sentenced in this one. And I'm probably giving you too much information, but right now I'm okay with it. So you'll see here that they're talking about remanding him. So the court, which is basically the judge, the judge says, all right, the defendant is remanded to the custody of the United States Marshal to await designation by the Bureau of Prisons. The attorney, Mr. Farr, did you say that he would be diverted? He will. Our current intention is for him to go into the Witness Security Program. So, this individual is talking. He's making deals with law enforcement so he can get a lower sentence, which he did. Now, I'm going to say this. If you read this court case, which you probably can't because some of this is sealed. Let me see if the counts. Some of this is sealed, I think. Yeah, part of it's sealed. So you're seeing something sealed. Oh, well, sorry. Sue me. Anyway, so if you read this, you're going to find out that he cooperated at such a level with law enforcement that the judge and the members of the FBI had never seen before. Never seen. Nothing like it. In fact, they actually allowed him to make phone calls to the people that he did the murder for hire thing for because he hadn't got paid. And just so you guys know, the hit was $60,000. This is a $60,000 hit. And I'll that link to a show I can give you. So it's actually there. And I think that show is called Sex, Lies, and Murder is what it is. But if you read through this, you'll see that when they go to sentence this guy, that they wanted to become more lenient. In fact, the prosecutor, the actual prosecutor, essentially testified on his behalf. That's unheard of. So yeah, I don't think he's probably going to need to be in the witness protection program, because he claims, or in this video that you'll see, that he was the head of the Latin Kings chapter of the entire state of Florida. And if I had the audio going, I would let you hear that, but unfortunately it's not going at the moment. Oh, I'm sitting there looking at the camera and the camera's not even on. So, if we wanted to go through this, and now some of you, if you guys want some more information, some of you that know my contact stuff, just contact me. I'll send you some of these documents, and a few of you out there, I've already actually sent it to you. Some of them I have to hold back, so just understand that there's some things I can't send you for obvious reasons. I got to hold on to it, and I don't have to be cleared by anybody to do it, but to keep this investigation going properly, I need to do that. But it's important that we have an understanding here, that keep in mind when Trish was telling us about Kenny, assuming that her story is going to be the same, which I'm guessing it's probably going to change a little bit. But if it does, it's fine. But she's already said a story. That story brought up a Mike Garcia, brought up a Mexican Mike. This person does not have an alias. Mexican Mike is an alias on his rap sheet. So the only alias he's showing is Mike G. So it very well may not be the same guy. But if you go down and look at the records and you look for a Mike Garcia that fits the profile of this guy lived in Brandon. He went to he would stay at the Pleasure Palace, which is, I believe, in Seffner. And that was a swingers club, which is right there at the farm. The farm is in Seffner. And the crimes that he had, some of the vehicle thefts, basically just if you were going to determine who would match that criteria, this guy is it. There is another one. And here's the interesting part about the other Mike Garcia. And I'm trying to figure out if they're the two Mike Garcia. So anyone that's researching this, I know it's probably very frustrating right now listening to me, and I'm probably rambling on. I get it. I understand. But it's my show. And you have to suffer a little bit. I'm sure there's an individual in Orlando right now saying, Mike, get to the point. But I was able to pull Kenny's addresses. Now, Kenny, if you watch this, you got my number, so you can call me and tell me why this is this way. This person lived, not this one, but there's another Mike Garcia that has an address, which is the same as one of the addresses that Kenny and Trish lived at, and his name is Mike Garcia as well. He doesn't, when you try to match him online, he doesn't match up exactly to this one, but every now and then people's records cross over. I can tell you that, because people think my last name's Turner sometimes. But anyway, so yeah, will the real Mike Garcia please stand up? So in this case, you've got this Mike Garcia, who, for all intents and purposes, fits exactly the criteria of someone that you would think, hey, if there's a murder for hire, and back when he was younger, he needed to be initiated. Don would have been a perfect initiation. Mike Garcia, in this particular case where he went to jail, and the other three were sentenced for life. He was sentenced for 20 years, which he's probably going to get out right around now, even though he went in 2013. He has time served and stuff like that, but I think they're going to let him go early. If this particular person may have some cross references to that, but he got his cousin Lewis to actually do the crime and pull the trigger. And in doing so, and having him pull the trigger, that person was getting initiated into his gang. So if you fast forward or go backwards another 10 years. So it's like 10 years previous. He was probably in that situation. So who was initiating him to take out Don Lewis for some reason? Now, there's all kinds of scenarios that we can play out. A lot of the scenarios that play out don't play in the people that you think. You're probably going to be pretty surprised when all this rolls out that some of the people you think are players might not be. Then again, they may be. Don't know yet. I really don't know. If I knew for sure, I would say it. But in reality, the more I dig into this, the more information I'm finding that, well, in regards to Carol Baskin, a lot of the claims that she made are true. And people have tried to say they're not. Some of them are. Now, the septic tank, that can be argued, or maybe not argued, because the receipts were found and stuff like this about the septic tank. So I'll lean that way in this one. The Albertsons story about her going to Albertsons, and Albertsons is open 24 hours a day. Well, guess what? It ain't. And it wasn't. In 1997, that Albertsons closed at 11 o'clock. But did anyone really go out and try to find that information? No, they found an ad from 1977, put the ad from 1977 up, was their grand opening, and they were open 24 hours a day during their grand opening, and said, this store is open 24 hours a day. 20 years previous to the actual time that this happened. Now, don't you think in 20 years people would probably change their hours? And Albertsons classically did. Only their superstores are open 24 hours a day back then. How do I know? I used to live here. And I was able to contact some people that actually worked there. So, yes, the stores closed at 11 o'clock. So that kind of goes along with that story. Now, there's some other things that go along with her story and Kenny's story and everybody's story. Really, anyone that's in this case, everyone has holes in their stories. And everyone tends to jump on those holes and try to nail them down. Oh, you lied, or you did this, or you forgot that, or whatever. Boom, you're guilty. Don't do that. Sit back, relax, get all the information. And once you have it all factually figured out, then go for it. If you just like in the cases going on right now, there's a lot of information that went down apparently to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. And a lot of people are wondering why certain events have not occurred yet. They haven't occurred because they either A, they don't have enough evidence to do it, or B, the evidence that they have is so circumstantial that they know it won't stick. They need more, or there's any number of extra ones there. And again, keep in mind, I'm not law enforcement, so I'm not going to pretend that I know all that law enforcement side, but I'm in the 30 some odd years I'm doing this. Yeah, I pretty much have an idea. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to slow this down a little bit because I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not comfortable putting out different information. So if you do have a question, please type it in all caps. That way I can readily see it's a question for me, and I will go from there. Hopefully some new people will come in here over the next couple of days or whatever and see this information. But if you're from, just so you know, first off, there is some question about how people run their investigations and stuff. I want to be perfectly clear. Anyone is welcome to come onto my channel. If I do start a group or something like that, it will be open. I do go, I'm at Web Sleuths as well. So if you have the opportunity, go to websleuths.com, which is basically a whole bunch of forums about different crimes that have occurred around the country. The Don Lewis case is there. I'm in there, but there's a bunch of other people in there that actually probably know quite a bit more than I do on some of the stuff. So by all means, yeah, you're wrong on both, Bear. Now think of the third option that you didn't give me. But anyway, so I'm open to anything. I'm not going to shut anybody down or whatever. But what I don't necessarily like is people who have convicted someone without actually having all the ducks in a row. So hopefully that'll tell you where I come from. I'm not. I know that's going to create some haters or whatever, but that's just how life is. Mike, what other groups can we join, if any, regarding the case? Well, damn, I must have been psychic at that moment. Sorry, Saint. But yeah, that join. There's a Facebook group that I can't join for some reason because I'm blocked there, and I guess it's because I was media. Because I did work on the ID Joe Exotic show. I just did some photography and whatever. So we'll leave it at that. But as such, I guess I was viewed as a mortal enemy or something. So I was instantly banned, and I wasn't really expecting it. I've never had a situation where I've gone into a room to offer information and to talk and to share information where someone just shut me down. Kind of bizarre. So, but I'll let you know that anyone in that group, you're welcome to post or come over here and say whatever you want, as long as you don't get stupid. And I'll be more than happy to entertain you. Same thing if I do start a group or if I do something on my website, we'll do that as well. So I'm good with that. Yeah, go ahead and drop the link, Edward, if you want. Are you gonna? Well, you can't because I have to give you. And I can't because wait, here I can. Boop. All right, guy, I cannot believe I'm actually gonna do this. Everyone is about to see Edward's name turn blue. And that is a day that will live in infamy. Okay, so Edward, yeah, you can drop the link in if you want. So this is a link to the Facebook group that's run by a core group of people. I don't even know who's running it now because it's been so many months since I've been able to even see it. But hey, look at that. So that's the group. You can go in there, take a look. The main guy that runs it, his name's Ripper. You've probably seen him. He basically is a spokesperson for the family. He's I guess he was working on some other show before this. I don't know a whole lot about him, but from what I've seen, and I'll be perfectly honest, some of the information that I was able to gather, I was able to gather from some of the interviews that he did. So he's actually done a pretty good job on a lot of that. So appreciate it. Yep, Ripper. He goes by the name Ripper. It's Ripper Jack Media. And whatever's I don't know what his name. I guess it's Ripper Zipper. So I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, it's Ripper, and it'll do it. So I'm down to 2 Mike Garcias that are prime. One is this one, which is Michael Albert Garcia. He is currently in prison, and he's a part of the witness protection program apparently. And as such, I don't know how far or deep into him I can go. I have a lot of documentation that I can't show you. But you have to kind of, just like with Vegas. I mean, I told you guys a lot of times I couldn't tell you stuff because, whatever. So my style of investigation. If I can't show you something, I'm sure Ripper has to do the same thing, and other people have to do the same thing when they come up with a piece of information that they can't share because it actually needs to be held on to. So I have the same situation. But there are certain people that are in this investigation that I don't mind sharing that with, but I will share with law enforcement first. First and foremost, because normally you guys know I normally work with attorneys. That's normally how I do this. I go in and I find whoever the victims are, and I always become a victim's advocate. And I do this on my own dime. If you guys haven't noticed, you don't see any chat dollars going around. I'm not super wealthy or anything like that, and this does take a big pinch, but I do this on my own dime. So whatever the hell that means. So as I'll probably do another show possibly by the end of the week that will cover some of the other aspects of this. There might be some questions that come up because of this. Now, granted, I'm just come onto the scene, so a lot of people are not used to me doing anything with Tiger King. So there's more people lurking here than are probably engaging because they don't know who the hell I am, what I'm doing, blah, 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 all that. If you guys want to know who I am, just Google me. My name is Mike Turber. You can go see, there's a lot of people in here that know me quite well. CL actually was a survivor of the Las Vegas shooting. I've worked extensively with a lot of the people that were part of the Las Vegas shooting that actually consumed the last 3 years of my life. And so, yeah, it took a lot out of me. But anyway, so now that I'm here on this case, my goal is to do something similar that I did with the Las Vegas case, is to go basically find information, that some people just have difficulty finding. If someone has something or needs help, I don't mind helping anyone. If you want to know how to do some crazy searches or whatever, I am known as a cybersecurity person. I don't want to say the term hacker, but I can show you ways to do certain searches. Like we can even do one. I can do one quick here just to give you an idea. Let me get a different screen up over here. Pull that there, pull that there, pull this here, and that should work. Okay, well, that was stupid. You guys can see all my shortcuts. Oh well. Well, you can see my shortcuts. Oh well. So if you're doing a search, like you want to search for me, put it in quotes. If you wanted to search for me inside the Department of Motor Vehicles for Florida, you do that. Go down there, put my name in quotes, which you guys already know this. This is all basic 101 stuff. Boom, and then you'll find everything where I'm actually inside the Department of Motor Vehicles. But let's say you wanted to do something more important. So you wanted to find only information on CNN. So you do site, CNN.com, and you want to find out Joe Exotic. You just type out Joe Exotic. After you do that with the colon. If I can remember how to spell. Not J-E-O. There we go. I'll learn how to spell. So this will bring back only pages inside CNN that have Joe Exotic. So that's just 2, but I've got like 100 of those things that'll help you go. You want me to use Tor? Yeah, I'm going to surf some dark web right now. But if you want help with that, I don't mind helping anyone in this case. If you're here to help find out what happened to Don, or if you're trying to get, basically you've got a group of people that are, there's a person gone. Okay. We assume that he's dead. You've got a woman that's missing her husband. You've got daughters that are missing their dad. You've got another woman, a secretary, who's missing her former boss, who she adored. So all of these people have, they're missing someone. Now, of course, they're arguing amongst each other, so you can't really appeal to all of them. But in reality, everyone is looking for answers, and I'm going to try to get those answers. And all of the answers that I find, I'm going to try to make them available as quickly as possible to you guys. Just like I did in Vegas, we're going to do the same thing here. I know I'm late to the game. I got a lot of catching up to do, so to speak. But I've been doing this for several months behind the scenes that you guys, a lot of you probably didn't know. And the key players in this, like all the people that are, at the different ends of the investigation, kind of already know I'm here, and I've already worked and given people information. So with that, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, please give me a thumbs up. I don't ask for anything. If you guys can give me a thumbs up, that's greatly appreciated. If you could subscribe to my channel, if you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Hit that little bell when you do. That way you can see notifications as they come up. I'm not normally this unprepared. Yeah, I am. But I'm a one-man band. I like to do things this way because I prefer it this way. I don't have to be arguing with somebody or whatever, but I will interview people from time to time. And I've got special guests that's already lined up to be on the show. People that we'll have on the show, and you're going to get questions answered, and people that'll come on here that you probably didn't think you would see, and we'll hopefully get you the answers that you're looking for, and also cover some ground that you weren't expecting. Anyway, I don't do scripted shows, so as such, everything I do is winging it. I'm doing it on the fly. And sorry, it's nice and dark in here. And I promise I'll turn the light on next time for all you ladies out there. I'm sure you're just dying to see, especially Elizabeth, Starla, CL. But anyway, so I appreciate each of you. And as a lot of you guys are my Vegas peeps, you guys know me. You've known me for years. You know how I do this. You know how I roll. And you know what I bring to the game. I'm going to do the same thing here. Also, I'm going to be doing a Vegas show again pretty soon. Did you guys like when I had Mark Bullock on? I mean, hopefully that was a good show. Where's mission at? So we're going to do another show here pretty soon. I'm also going to go back into the TTSA UFOs show with the people that just so you guys know, I don't know if you know this or not, but the two people that I was arguing with the most at TTSA, that's to the Stars Academy, Tom DeLonge, who used to be the singer to Blink 182, was Lou Elizondo and Chris Mullen. And both of those people I argued with basically, and I can look in this camera and without worrying about anyone suing me, call them liars because they lied to us about those videos. So all those three videos that you saw that came out of the Navy claiming to be actual UFOs, blah, blah, blah. Well, an actual UFO doesn't really mean anything. It means it's actually an unidentified flying object. What the hell does that mean? But they were not what they said. So we'll get back into that as well. And so I'm going to be covering three things mainly, and then some peripheral stuff. It's going to be Las Vegas. It's going to be Tiger King / Don Lewis case, mainly the Don Lewis case, and then the back into the TTSA / Navy UFOs, so forth. So anyway, I appreciate it. If you do have a question, the group was banking on Joe Exotic to get his pardon. Well, the thing about, and I'll discuss that a little bit. When you, first off, you have to know Trump. Trump pretty much sides kind of with animal activists. So he was already fighting an uphill battle that he didn't know then. And I don't want to be a Monday quarterback and say, aha, because I actually thought that he was going to get a pardon. And when he didn't, I was kind of surprised. But first off, you're supposed to have 5 years in the situation that you're in, whether you're jailed or whatever the situation is, to get your pardon. That didn't happen, but he's the president. He can do whatever he wants. But there were some other circumstances too. But keep in mind too, there's another channel you need to take a look at. It's with Jim Rathman, and it's actually the Joe Exotic channel. Take a look at it. The information that's come out here recently is trying to explain why Joe should get a new trial. I have looked at some of that information. I got to dig into it deeper. I have to say I already have problems with it. So Jim, if you're watching, yeah, you and I need to talk. But in looking at it from the surface level, without knowing what Jim and Teresa know, maybe the depth of it, maybe I need to learn more to see where their argument is, or better study it. I didn't see where the claim that there was not a murder for hire situation with the two individuals, the FBI agent and then of course the other guy. So I don't know, maybe I missed something there. So hopefully I'll get up to speed with that and I'll understand it better. But at this current moment in time, I was definitely under the impression there was absolutely a murder for hire situation with Joe, and somehow it not being the case is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. So I guess I just need to learn more about it, and we'll see. Hopefully, I'm as politically correct as possible there, so I don't piss anybody off. All right, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and I appreciate everybody coming on board and taking a look. I will try to put a link as soon as I close this out. I'm going to go back into the description, and I can't even see through these damn things. I'm going to go back into the description, and I will put links to the videos that I can. But what you're going to be looking for on one is, what was it? Sex, Lies, and Murders, or whatever. And just look for Swingers Club or Swingers Murder, Sex, Lies, whatever. And it's in Tampa, and you'll find it. And you'll see the court case and stuff. In fact, I'm not going to pull that up right now. But take a look at that. That'll get you into this Mike Garcia here. Now, the other Mike Garcia that lived at the same address as them, I'm not going to pull his information up yet, because that's the one I'm digging into right now. This guy just had so much information, 925 pieces of information on his rap sheet. 925 reports, guys. That's more than Edward, and that's saying something. So that's crazy. Also in the future, again, this is kind of like my first show getting into the Tiger King thing. So some people's going to watch this and they're going to, critique me left and right. And I'm sure they're going to go back and say whatever. I just want you guys to know I don't have anything against really anybody. So I would hope, and this happens anyway. I know it's going to happen. And me saying this is stupid to assume that it won't, but someone's going to come here, critique what I found, say I'm an idiot, that this can't be the guy. They're going to say all of these different things. And I appreciate that. That's fine. And if that's the case, if this is not the right guy, hey. But if you saw the things I did, you would probably go down the same path. And some of them probably already have. But anyway, so all I'm asking is let's work together if we can, and if we can't, let's just agree to not be whatever towards each other. Life's too short for this shit. Anyway, and I'm too old to go around and do that, whatever. But if it does get to that, I can play. So anyway, you guys have some fun. Sex, Lies, and Murder, the Swingers Club Hitman is correct. You win today's prize. And yeah, it's going to play on Reels. I think Reels has it right now. And let me double check if that was Reels. I think it was, because I've got a copy of it here because I did my super duper thing there and pull it over. So that's it there. You guys can see it. So this is the Murder for Hire. There, you'll see them of course, you see some crazy stuff. That's your title there. So that's what you're going to be looking for. I'll stop that sharing. All right. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm going to try to keep these short because I know you guys don't like going 3 and 4 hours. If I go longer than 4 hours, I suppose I have to contact a doctor or something. We'll keep tonight's pretty short, which is good. So I'm going to keep it short. And you guys have a great night. Much love to you guys too. I would say God bless you, but you guys all know I'm atheist, but that's fine too. But I can say God bless you as well. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Have a great night. And if you have any questions, email me at miketurber@gmail.com. It's just my name at gmail.com. Or you can come onto this thread. I would actually appreciate it if you guys would come onto this thread and comment right after the show, especially if you have any questions or whatever. And to the person that gave me the thumbs down, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I consider that criticism, and I'll take it. And I'm going to add one for myself. Now I'm at 14. All right, guys. Appreciate it. You guys have a great night. I will talk to you soon. I'm ending the broadcast in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And thank you.